talk more about the NFL. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, also going to cover the Eagles for us throughout the year over at 97.3 ESPN.com. He joins us right now to get into a busy NFL news, not just today, but weekend overall. Jeff, how you doing today?
Pretty good, Josh. Pretty good. You know, it was pretty busy. I will say that. I was pretty busy on Sunday, and I had a rare Sunday work shift in the summer, and I was, kind of sweating bullets a little bit. I'm like, whoa, okay, there's some actual news going on.
So let's start with some of that news from yesterday first. Obviously, the Steven Nelson signing is basically what everybody's been waiting for. They've been waiting for the Eagles to sign a legitimate second corner. So I want to ask you a question I asked Jeff Mosher an hour ago. So we've seen them sign Steven Nelson, Eric Wilson, Anthony Harris, Ryan Kerrigan. You have a new defensive coordinator. What does all of that put together say to you?
I actually think the Eagles secondary is significantly improved with all these players now. Before they signed Steven Nelson, I would have said, yeah, that's great. Anthony Harris, love the signing. Rodney McLeod back there, awesome. Darius Slay, I still think he's got another 2 in him. But if you were going into the year with Avonte Maddox, Zach McPherson, Michael Jacquet, Craig James, you were in trouble. You were in big trouble, and this secondary wouldn't have shown any progress. Now you got look, Steven Nelson's not an all-pro. He's not a Pro Bowler. But he's a starting cornerback in the National Football League. He started all 16 games last year. He was pretty good in pass coverage, especially in zone, which is what the Eagles are going to run. This was honestly a match made in heaven ever since he was released from the Steelers.
What is the one thing that stands out to you about Steven Nelson in this defense? Because we know he's played in Kansas City. He's played in Pittsburgh. Now this is Jonathan Gannon. We're assuming there's going to be some variation of Zimmer and Eberflus's defenses. Gannon said he's going to make a defense based on his personnel. So I guess that's a positive. So what do you think Steven Nelson does in this system?
Well, I kind of mentioned the zone defense earlier. I think the Eagles are going to run a lot of zone, and I think that plays to Steven Nelson's strengths. Look, I think if Steven Nelson was in this defense last year under Jim Schwartz, he would have been torched in man. And most cornerbacks do get torched in man, but Steven Nelson would have really been torched in man. This honestly fits his style better. And he's got a really good cornerback next to him in Darius Slay that's going to help. And you got one of the better pass coverage safeties in the game in Anthony Harris. And look, that's not an exaggeration. I think that's a known fact. Anthony Harris, when healthy, is one of the better pass coverage safeties in the game. And then you got a guy like Rodney McLeod and Kayvon Wallace back there to help you out. And look, the Eagles can do so much now because Avonte Maddox is going to be in the slot. I think that's going to be key. When Avonte Maddox had a really good rookie season in 2018, he was playing primarily the slot. The only reason they had to play him on the outside was because guys got hurt, and he stood up to the challenge. And he can do that from time to time. Not all season. So I really like how they can use Steven Nelson to play specifically zone coverage. He'll have to play man a little bit, but not as frequent. And with Darius Slay playing left cornerback, I think that's going to be huge for them.
Overall, considering how this defense is looking on paper right now, because all we really have, training camp is tomorrow, do you think the defense will be better in 2021 than it was last year?
Absolutely. I already think this defense is significantly better. I'm looking at the pass rush. I thought the Ryan Kerrigan signing was huge for them. And not that they needed Ryan Kerrigan, but he was more of a luxury. You could have gone by with Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, Jannard Avery, who's moving the linebacker anyway. But you could have went by with those four and said, all right, yeah, our pass rush is good. We got Fletcher Cox. We got Javon Hargrave, who knows the system now. But no, you decide to get Ryan Kerrigan, a tremendous upgrade over Vinny Curry, who is going to help this pass rush tremendously. So this pass rush was good last year. They were, top 5 in the league in pressures. They were 3rd in the NFL in sacks. That's huge for them. They're going to be top 5 again. Linebacking core, for the first time in a long time, I feel confident about Eagles linebackers. Alex Singleton was really good last year when he started. And is he great in pass coverage? Absolutely not. But he does make plays. He does get tackles. He led the NFL in tackles once he started in week 6 last year. He was tied, with Darius Leonard. I mean, that's a pretty impressive stat right. I'm sorry, not Darius. Fred Warner. Getting my linebackers mixed up here. And you got Eric Wilson. Again, he misses a lot of tackles too, and he's a little susceptible in pass coverage, but he does make plays. He does find the football. These guys can create turnovers. And then now you add Steven Nelson. I feel like it was the final piece to making this defense. You got some depth there, and you got some quality starters. I fully expect this defense to be top 15 this year.
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, joining us here on the Sports Bash, as he does every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on 97.3 ESPN, at Jeff Kerr, CBS on Twitter. Jeff, a big picture in the NFC East. Knowing what we know about the Eagles right now, with training camp, with basically we're 12 hours away from guys walking in the building, basically, okay? What are the Eagles in the NFC East? Are they a contender? Are they competitive? Are they an 8-win team? How do you quantify the Eagles at this point in time?
They are competitive, and they are a dark horse in the NFC East, because I still think Washington and Dallas are the two teams to beat. I still don't know about Dallas's defense yet, but Dan Quinn is a much-needed improvement there. And as long as the Cowboys have Dak Prescott in that offense, they're going to be formidable, no matter what. I don't care what Mike McCarthy does. That team's going to score points. Washington is the exact opposite. They're going to be really good on defense. Chase Young's only going to get better. Montez Sweat's going to get better. They got studs across the board there. If Ryan Fitzpatrick can make them a top 15 offense, they will win the NFC East. I truly believe that, because you got Antonio Gibson, you got Terry McLaurin, you got De'Ami Brown, you got Curtis Samuel. That's a legit pass-catching unit. Oh, and by the way, Logan Thomas is no slouch at tight end here. Washington's biggest weakness is probably the offensive line, and that's not that terrible. So I look at those two. I think the Eagles are better than the Giants. I really do. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about the New York Giants hype. Until Daniel Jones and the offensive line problems are fixed, the Giants are battling with the Eagles for – I don't want to say like they're battling for last place, because I feel like any of these teams can finish last, just like I think any of these teams can finish first. But I think the Eagles are more competitive now. Now, if they get a certain quarterback from the Houston Texans, I think you got to call them the favorites. But we got to see how Jalen Hurts does. This all comes down to how Jalen Hurts plays this year.
Well, you mentioned that quarterback from the Texans, because the latest news on him is not looking good. Because if we're to believe his lawyer, Rusty Hardin, he has 10 criminal complaints coming against him, and 2 of them are from women who were not part of the civil complaints. So technically, if we're doing the math and we're adding up all the women, there's now 25 women who are accusing Deshaun Watson of something inappropriate at this point. So it's starting to make sense why this guy has not been traded yet, Jeff, because if he has all of this legal stuff hanging over his head and potentially 10 criminal complaints, I'm assuming he's not being traded anytime soon.
No, and here's the thing. Can you trust this guy? There's too many women out there that have said, like, they're not all lying. You know, everybody wants to say, oh, yeah, they're lying. No, they're not lying. This is true. Like, these are serious allegations against this guy. And, you know, Deshaun Watson may just be a bad dude. I don't want to, you know, pass judgment on the guy, but from what you read, it's scary. And, I mean, if you're looking at it from a football perspective, you want Deshaun Watson on your football team. But there's so much baggage with this guy. Is it even worth getting him? Like, just roll out the year of Jalen Hurts and see what happens. And look, nothing is going to be finalized with this case until next year. That's just the reality of it. I think Deshaun Watson does play a football game this year. I don't think it's going to be for the Houston Texans, though. And if you're the Eagles, if you can lowball and get an offer for him, like if you can lowball the Texans and kind of get him, then I think you got to do it. But there's just so much. It's going to be a massive PR hit. I don't think the Eagles care regardless. I think the Eagles care about winning a Super Bowl first and foremost, as they should. But you have to look at every single thing with this guy. And this is the only way I'll compare it to Michael Vick. Michael Vick, I thought in his initial press conference with the Eagles showed me he was really willing to change. I don't know if Deshaun Watson actually thinks that or if he actually thinks he did anything wrong. I guess we'll find out.
Well, there's another part of that, Jeff, and I mentioned this earlier. The NFL has a long history of being inconsistent with punishment, okay? Dante Stallworth was drinking and driving, killed somebody, came back a year later in the NFL for a few years. Greg Hardy, suspended 10 games, never went to jail, though, okay? Ray Rice, no criminal charges, basically banned from the league, all right? Josh Brown, domestic violence, banned from the league, goes to jail. There's all these situations. We could name 100 of them. Kareem Hunt, whoever you want to throw in there. The NFL has given us no consistency with punishment. So how am I supposed to know that if I trade for Deshaun Watson, the league doesn't just suspend him indefinitely and I gave up 3 first-round picks and 2 players for nothing?
Yeah, and there's no barometer for it. And, you know, it's funny. The Eagles have actually been involved in kind of like I forget who it was. It was a quarterback in the 60s. They made a trade for, I don't remember what team it was for. I got to look this up. But I remember they made a trade for like 2 draft picks or something like that. They traded the starting quarterback. And then Pete Retzlaff wanted to reverse the trade. And Pete Rozelle said, too bad. You made the deal. So that's basically what you're doing right now. It is a big gamble. I mean, it is a Super Bowl type gamble, honestly. Like, because the NFL is inconsistent as they are, and it works out in the Eagles' favor. Guess what? You might have a chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 to 10 years because you have this guy. But if it goes the other way, you traded all these assets, like you said, Josh, for a guy who's never going to play it down for you. I don't know. Right now, the sure thing is Jalen Hurts. And I'm not saying he's going to be a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad quarterback. But he's here right now, and everybody seems to like him. And I'm not saying give Jalen Hurts the opportunity, but I think you should kind of roll with him at this point.
Well, I'll say it. I'll say it then, because I think this organization has given every quarterback under the sun a chance. Okay, Kevin Kolb, Sam Bradford, Michael Vick.
Yep.
For years ago, man, was Coy Detmer, A.J. Feely, Mike McMahon, the whole history of the Eagles franchise of a gazillion quarterbacks getting chances. What makes them any different than Jalen Hurts? What is 1 year of Hurts any different than any of those other quarterbacks? To me, there's no difference, Jeff. To me, give the guy a year, figure it out. You have 3 potential first-round picks next year. You know what? If it doesn't work out, trade up. And if it doesn't, still trade up. Like, you don't have to bail on Jalen Hurts just because his name isn't Deshaun Watson.
Exactly. And you have draft assets. People seem to forget that. You have a first-round pick of your own. You have the Dolphins' first-round pick of your oh, by the way, I got a story for you. If they do suck this year, they're going to get a top 10 draft pick. And you know what? If the Dolphins suck this year, we don't think Tua is any good, they're going to get another top 10 pick. Oh, boy, how's that work? Oh, by the way, if Carson Wentz does what I think he's going to do, the Eagles are going to get another first-round pick. So you are in the gravy train with first-round picks, and that's what you build for. Look, I think the Eagles did this right. This is the Eagles process. They stockpiled assets, and now they have them if they want to make a big trade, if they want to do that. But I think Deshaun Watson is too big of a risk for that, and you still have them. Look, there is nothing wrong with rebuilding, retooling, whatever you want to call it this year, and being competitive. Because guess what? I think the Eagles are going to be competitive. I think they have a top 10 offensive line in football. I think they have a top 10 defensive line in football. I think Nick Sirianni is going to surprise some people. I think Jalen Hurts is going to surprise some people. And you know what, Josh? I honestly think these people who loved Carson Wentz and hated Jalen Hurts for whatever reason, they just don't want to admit they're good. They're probably going to be wrong about Jalen Hurts, because I think Jalen Hurts is a bulldog. And all they do is point to, he got benched in the national championship game. Well, guess what? I don't really care. Nick Saban's a good coach. Jalen Hurts is a 5-star quarterback. He's been good. I'm sorry that, you know what? I'll say this, Josh. The national championship game is like the Olympics. People only watch it once when it's on. They don't watch any other games the guy plays.
Well, except for this year, because the Olympics are at a 33-year low. So take that for the fewest people have watched the Olympics is 1988. So in other years, that would be a great analogy.
I haven't turned off the Olympics. I almost flipped out on Twitter last night when people were calling Katie Ledecky a choker. I'm like, Katie Ledecky, okay, first of all, she's ran the 3rd fastest time ever in that event, in the 400 meter, and she lost. That's not choking.
I don't disagree with you, but Jeff, here's the problem with the Olympics. I said this earlier in the show. Sunday morning, United States is losing to France in the 4th quarter.
And we couldn't find it.
You couldn't find it anywhere. I saw water polo. I saw doubles tennis. I saw golf. I saw some other sport. I think it was archery. I saw equestrian horses. I didn't see the game. You know why no one's watching the Olympics? Because nobody cares about archery or equestrian when the men's basketball team is losing to France. That's why no one's watching, because NBC is stupid, Jeff.
I am an Olympics fanatic, and I said this when I was 16 years old, back in 2004. They do not care about you. They do not care about me, the sports fan. They care about the casual fan. They want to put on gymnastics in prime time, even though it happened 12 hours earlier.
Right.
I know what happened to the U.S. men's gymnastics team already, and it's on tonight. Guess what? I'm not watching. The Phillies are on. I'll watch something live. And then you know when I'll turn it on? When swimming comes on, because that's live.
And I would rather watch swimming than archery.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm fascinated by archery. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not.
There's so many options in the Olympic Games. You know what's fun to watch? The triathlon, the cross country mountain bike. Basically any cycling event I'll watch because I'm a biker. I love that stuff. And
Well, that's you.
I'll give you credit for this. Everything for that has been live and on the air. I stayed up till 4:30 in the morning watching a 7-hour bike race. It was awesome.
All right, well, I can't say much because I'm the guy who watches judo at the Olympics because I'm a martial arts guy.
That's
so
awesome. I love judo.
Before I let you go, I have one thing to throw out there for you, and that is we mentioned about all the draft picks. Here's my working theory, and I've been working on this theory. Well, I've been saying this theory for about several months now. I believe this is what the Eagles can do. If Jalen Hurts works out this year, like you and I think he can, and you have 3 first-round picks next year, there's one name the Eagles have to go get. One name. You take those 3 picks, you trade up in the draft, and you get Kayvon Thibodeau to replace Brandon Graham and replace Derek Barnett.
Oh, yeah. You got to replace one of them, right? Because even if, Brandon Graham is no spring chicken. He's still really good, but he's no spring chicken. And Derek Barnett, he's going to get $10 million a year in free agency, where that's from the Eagles or somebody. The Bengals just paid Sam Hubbard $10 million a year. Derek Barnett's better than him. Derek Barnett's better than him. I'm sorry. And I like Sam Hubbard. Derek Barnett is better than him. So he's going to make money. So, yeah, I would agree with you. And defensive end's one thing you can fix. You can fix defensive tackle. You can fix offensive line with those picks. If you really want, you can trade up and get Sam Howell. You could trade up and get Malik Willis. You could do so much with those 3 first-round picks. Clear up a lot of holes on your roster. And, look, people seem to forget this. Jalen Hurts doesn't need to be Aaron Rodgers. He just needs to be good enough. If he's good enough and he's going to put up a lot of numbers, the Eagles will be fine. And I wish people would understand that. We don't need 2017 Carson Wentz to win a Super Bowl. The Eagles won it with a backup quarterback who's only been good here. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and listen, for those who don't know who Kayvon Thibodeau is, he's the defensive end from Oregon, 5-star recruit, and he's going to be next year's Chase Young. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, he might even be better than Chase Young. I can't wait to watch. I cannot wait to watch Pac-12 games just to watch this guy work. He's been pretty much a top 5 player in his class since he was 14. I agree with you, Josh. I think he's going to be a top 3 pick easily, no matter what he does this year.
Yeah, and I would love to see him in an Eagles uniform. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I would love to. And the Eagles have a history of really good defensive ends.
They do. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, as we discovered, he watches Olympic swimming and Pac-12 after dark during the college football season. Joins us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN at Jeff Kerr, CBS on Twitter. Give him a follow for all of his NFL and Eagles coverage. And he'll be back on Wednesday with Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. Jeff, great stuff today.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Josh. Hopefully, day 1 of Eagles training camp is pretty fun. I know they're limiting media coverage this year. You're not going to be there every day, but I'm hoping to be there day 1 and hoping to talk to a certain wide receiver on the Eagles that is a really good interview.
A 75 rating on Madden, that guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I can't wait to ask him about that because that's BS. He's too good.
I gave up on Madden ratings a long time ago, Jeff. It's all BS to me.
I gave up on Madden a long time ago, and I get it every year. I play it 3 times. I'm like, why did I just buy this? This is stupid. It doesn't change. I could get into a whole show about what Madden needs to fix.
Maybe that's a podcast one day. How about that?
No, that's definitely a podcast. We got to get Gil on that immediately.
Well, we'll have all of our people talk to each other. We'll figure it out. Okay, Jeff?
It sounds great. Thanks for having me on, Josh.